Welcome back into another Prize Picks video. Going to be getting into the top props for the Miami versus Boston game, as well as a couple MLB and PGA props. But first, let's do a quick recap from yesterday. So yesterday, the bet of the day went 1 for 1 on the day. Now we also have some bets that are going to be pending with PGA. That was kind of the problem with yesterday, is that the best prop bets that we had available were going to be via PGA. Now, the good thing about it is, as I expected, the course is playing easier than expected. So some of the Strokes game props that I had mentioned, those are probably going to be a good one. The issue with yesterday is that we saw the pitching strikeout props for Joe Ryan and Sandy. They both missed out on those. The frustrating part is that they both pitched well. I don't really blame PrizePicks for that. They both pitched well. I just wish with these props that we are getting, I wish they would be fantasy score props. It's a good example of why I typically like to default to hitting fantasy score props, NBA fantasy score props, even pitching fantasy score props. And I think that's a good example of why the bets of the day hit an extreme amount right now, is because there's a big edge for fantasy score based props. That's kind of the point I want to echo, but hopefully this can hit and then it won't be a bad day. Obviously with 2 hot dogs missing, that's never good. But we'll see. PrizePicks needs to step up their game. All right, so looking at the game preview for today, we do know that the Boston Celtics are going to be favored by 8 points, which to me is an extremely high amount, especially given the fact that we got news that Malcolm Brogdon is currently questionable, and that's going to be the leadoff for today's PrizePicks coverage for the Heat versus Miami game. So what I find extremely interesting about this is that we had news that Malcolm Brogdon partially tore a tendon in his elbow. That happened in game 2. In game 2, he only saw 26 minutes, which were kind of the least amount of minutes that he had gotten recently because he had been extremely productive. Now, the question is, like, what is going on with his minutes now? We can clearly see that they are reduced, right? That could come for 3 reasons. 1, simply because he's injured and they don't want to play him too much. 2, because of his injury, he has just been playing terribly, especially shooting the basketball. Or 3, because the games were blowout. And I guess 4 would be all 3 of those reasons I just previously listed. It probably is going to be option number 4 there, but we don't know for sure. What we do know is that because Malcolm Brogdon has been seeing less and less minutes, that has led to Derek White getting 26 and 27 minutes and even 23 minutes in the previous game. And he has been someone that has had to step up, and he has stepped up. Now, will that continue? We will see. But the thing is, like, in that Phillies series, we did see his minutes kind of tick down a little bit, and we saw that continue in game 1 of Miami. I believe that was in favor of Malcolm Brogdon playing well. Well, now we see that kind of come back. And now the question is, do we roll with Derek White tonight? And so if we look at the 9-to-5 PrizePicks cheat sheet, we'll see that one of the best fantasy score props that we are getting is actually going to be that Derek White prop. So if we pull in the average sportsbook odds, they have it set at -121 to get over 26.3 points. We can see PrizePicks has the line set at 23.5. He's projected to get 30.45. Now, yes, it's going to be based off of his season averages, which if we look at what he's done lately, not going to be the case. But if he does get the 31 minutes that he's projected to get, once again, this is a factor of, is Malcolm Brogdon that injured? Will Malcolm Brogdon get those minutes? And if so, those minutes should flow to Derek White. I believe that's why Derek White is getting these projected minutes. Thus, I think Derek White should be a good prop in this game. So I do think we can clearly see that Derek White is going to be a good prop for the day, especially if Malcolm Brogdon's minutes are down. The question is, how do we want to go about betting that? Do we do fantasy score props? We can see the last 2 games has gone over. You could do that. Could also do points, rebounds, and assists. It's not a bad one there as well. The issue is, it's like he just hasn't really been playing all too well, and that's kind of my worry. I would say the fantasy score prop would be the one that we would go with, though. Now, on the flip side, like, I do feel like these correlate if you're trying to run out a game stack, which is, oh, we're not even getting a Brogdon prop. Once we get a Brogdon prop, oh yeah, we are. Okay. You would want to bet the unders here. But at the same time, I would say this line is pretty solid, right? Like 15.5. We've seen this number be at 21.5 for the past like 7 games. And now the news came out that he's injured. So now the line has dropped down. But I would say it does correlate. If Derek White has a good game, it probably means that Malcolm Brogdon's not going to have a good game. So with that being said, let's go ahead and try to find some other good props in this game. We can see potentially Grant Williams for over points, -136 to get over 7 points. We can see the average sportsbook line has it set that. Sure, his projection isn't going to be that high. Let's see how many minutes he's projected to get into this. So only 18.31. Maybe gets an extra rotation, then he can get the points. We see Caleb Martin, Marcus Smart being the next best props. I don't mind Marcus Smart, rebounds and assists. That's not terrible. But all these feel a little bit too tight. That's kind of the issue with playoff basketball. It's like, for me, either I'm running out stacks with a single game showdown. Maybe there's 1 or 2 props that really stand out. But other than that, I just don't like to overextend myself too much. So let's go ahead and take a peek at the PrizePicks board. and just sort by NBA to see if we got any props differences between Underdog and PrizePicks today. And so for points, you know, on Underdog, that'd be the much better bet there for Derek White. So if you think he's going to have a good game, you'd want to bet the over there. You can see this is a very good example of why it is a tight line for Derek White on PrizePicks. Okay, the average sportsbook line has it set at 12.3, and they're saying that that is basically a push. And so the fact that PrizePicks has already bumped it is very interesting. So that's a much better bet on Underdog. Bam rebounds. Oh man, that's a really good bet there on Underdog. Okay, so I'm already seeing a path to which we probably just want to be making our bets today on Underdog. That it's probably the way to go. And I literally just wrote that down because I want to go ahead and use those ones there. It looks like a good option. And this is some big injury news right here. Gabe Vincent has currently been ruled out. This actually updated as I was doing the video. So I'm going to go ahead and take a peek at this. Who's going to benefit the most with Gabe Vincent being out, as well as with Tyler Hero and also Oladipo out? It's probably going to be Kyle Lowry, Max Strauss, but let's go ahead and take a peek. And guys, I miss pulling up the on-off court stats. It's not even a grind, but the middle of the NBA season is the best. I love finding edges by doing that. That's where the playoff basketball is just kind of lather, rinse, repeat. There's a slight edge at the start of a series, and then it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. All right, so I just did it with Gabe Vincent and Tyler Hero out. Didn't want to put Depot in there because it really restricted the sample size. But either way, whichever way you're looking at it is going to be Max, then Caleb, then Kyle Lowry. Okay, those are going to be the three players that benefit the most in terms of minutes. And that's actually Kyle Lowry sees a 7% bump in usage as well with Gabe Vincent off the court. And personally, I think we could see probably Jimmy Butler just getting a little bit more usage as well. Max Strauss sees about a 1.3 bump in fantasy points per 36 with those players off the court. Kyle Lowry sees about a 4 bump. And then Caleb Martin is very minimal. The thing with Caleb Martin is we expect him to get more minutes then. So let's just go over their per 36 averages. Okay, so, and we saw Max get 36 minutes in the last game. He played well. So per 36, he averages 17 points, 3.3 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 1 steal, and about 26.3 fantasy points per 36. So we can see, even in that last game, obviously it's a tougher matchup against the Celtics. That's why he was probably struggling there. Even with the minutes there, wasn't able to be that productive. Went 1 for 5 from 3 as well. Obviously, that's not going to help. He does typically take like 10 3-pointers per 36. So, if he's going to continue to get minutes, he needs to be making those. But, if we get like 1.5 for the 3 for Caleb Martin, that would be a decent one, I would say. Or for Max. Now we look at Caleb Martin, who he's been playing out of his mind. That's crazy. But he averages 12.7 points per 36 with those 3 players off the court, 4.2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and only 1.6 3-pointers made. A decent play. 26.3 fantasy points per 36. Obviously, I think we'd be trusting Caleb Martin because he's been playing better recently. But Kyle Lowry is probably going to have to get some more point guard minutes. They're just going to be forced to get in close to 30 minutes. So he's probably the play we'd be defaulting to. It just depends on where his fantasy score prop comes out. I will say he averages 33 fantasy points per 36. So if it is lower than what it has been, it's been around, I believe, 27. If it stays to be around there, maybe 28, I'd feel comfortable with that. I would say 31 would probably be the breaking point because he is not guaranteed to get those 36 minutes like the per 36 average I just busted out there for you guys. So decent play all around though. Averages 15 points, 5.7 rebounds, 7 assists per 36 with Gabe Vincent, Tyler Hero, and Victor Oladipo off the court. So I wanted to just get that information out to you guys just because we don't have that board available on PrizePicks. And the thing with it is, if it's a blowout, I do think we can expect Max and probably Caleb Martin to still get the minutes that they get. Whereas Kyle Lowry, Bam, Jimmy, they probably won't get as many minutes. And then just real quickly, getting back into the discrepancies that we have, we do see that PrizePicks is actually a big advantage there for points, rebounds, and assists for Tatum. Okay, that is a pretty solid prop there. That is probably a prop that we should take. Minus 126 to get over 4.93 points, rebounds, and assists. PrizePicks has it set at 46.5. It's probably the best one that we're getting. So now let's go ahead and switch up and get into some MLB-based prop. There's nothing too crazy as it sits right now. I typically don't like to do the hits, runs, RBI props, but we can see they are projected to get over that. If you want to roll with these ones, you could. They're good enough. I do want to point out this pitching prop because I find it very interesting. So we've got Lucas Giolito for 5.5 strikeouts on PrizePicks. He's projected to get 6.54. Okay, the average Vegas line has it set at 5.64, and they are favoring the over there. Now, the percent likelihood for this one is going to be 51%. For me, I'm kind of fine with that with pitching-based props, especially when the projection is also suggesting that it should be over as well. And then just in case it does get bumped, I could potentially see that happening throughout the day. I wouldn't mind the fantasy score prop there as well. I kind of mentioned that at the top of the video. It's that, like, yeah, if they're getting those many strikeouts, that means they're pitching deep into the game. They're obviously getting those points for the strikeouts. That gives them a higher likelihood to get a quality start and also get a win. So that all kind of goes together. I wouldn't mind that 4 over pitching fantasy score as well. And then for what it's worth, we are getting a lot of decent pitching-based props, especially in terms of the projections being over. Once again, Giolito's not terrible, but if you pull in the average Vegas line, they would be suggesting that he's not going to get the over. That really depends on a quality start or not, or getting a win. That's not typically something where Vegas is favoring, so that's why it's not a factor in there. Blake Snell as well, both projecting it over, so not terrible props. Let's go ahead and look at what you guys are probably wanting, the hitting base props. So yesterday, I apologize, guys. I came out with the video much later than I did. All my favorite hitting props to start the day, I believe, hit. Trey Turner finally had a good game. Willie Adames had a good game. Bryce Harper pushed, and Marcus crushed it in like his first at bat, which was my favorite one. So there's like probably maybe 3 people that were able to use that because it literally went live as I was done editing and publishing the video. Sometimes that just takes longer than I expect, and recording as well. So I apologize for that. But looking at it right now, we can see we are getting one really good prop today, and that is looking like Aaron Judge for over 9 fantasy points. Okay, projected to get 10.98. The average Vegas line has it set at 11.67. And I would say the nice thing about this one is that he struggled in his last game after coming off of a really good hot streak. So I say struggled because he still had 6 points, right? That's still a lot. I think he walked and got a hit, maybe. Anyways, that's going to be one of the best ones that's popping up today. And then we can see maybe they're adjusting because maybe Juan Soto, but I don't particularly love that too much. I want the Vegas line to be a little bit higher. You could roll with that one though if you wanted to, but really it just looks like the Aaron Judge prop is going to be the best one that we are getting. All right, so just pulling up the PrizePicks golf props and Underdog golf props. So we can see, like, this is another situation where, yes, the edges that we had yesterday and yesterday's video are not as prevalent. We see Victor Hovland for strokes. If we think he's going to shoot under 2 strokes, under par by 2 strokes, PrizePicks would be the way to go. And I really don't mind that. Like I said, the course is playing a little bit easier than I think PrizePicks originally expect. And so let's just look at where we are getting the best edges. And I kind of want to reverse engineer it because the projections I'm pulling in are going to be based off the player averages, the event average, and even the PrizePicks lines that are out there. But because, like I said, this tournament had really been more difficult to play because of the weather, and the weather is not bad. So I might look at the lowest over bet that we have in terms of edge, and that'd be Denny McCarthy, and I'd probably want to bet the under there. And another thing you could potentially do is, like, I don't mind this one for maybe you bet more birdies for Sanjay M. Not terrible, kind of the same thing. We can see the Underdog line has it set at 4. That's probably more likely to happen. So not a terrible one there as well. So with that being said, we do know it is a little bit tighter of a day. So let's go ahead and get into the bet of the day. So of course, as I was recording, this one got bumped as well. So I do think I'm fine going with Lucas Giolito for over fantasy score. I'll just pull this up real quick. We can see he has been productive in that aspect. Once again, this really just depends on if you think he's going to get a quality start. Obviously, if he gets 6 strikeouts, that's huge. That's a lot of outs in there as well. So overall, I still think this is going to be a good prop. And so as I'm recording this, we did get some Caleb Martin props. I'd be actually fine betting the over points, rebounds, and assists. I think I do want to wait to see what we get for Kyle Lowry because I think that's going to be the biggest edge, but I'd be perfectly fine adding this one in there. So to me, these are going to be my favorite bets in the day. I'm probably not going to go too crazy today. Like I said, the lines are very tight. This is probably going to be the most bets that I make today. Is just probably this slip or maybe some open up throughout the day. Obviously, if we get some Kyle Lowry props, maybe go with that. Maybe attack a little bit more golf, but these are going to be the best props that we have as it sits right now. I do think that there is a big edge on Underdog. Just to recap, the 2 bets that I want to use on Underdog, I'll pull it up, would be these 2. So Derek White for over points. If he continues to get more minutes, I do think that's going to be a good one, but the Bam prop is really a good one there. So those are going to be 2 bets that I'm going to go ahead and use on Underdog as well. But that is it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. If you did, you know what to do. Give a like and subscribe. You can see my cat in the background playing with the golf ball on the putting green. That's awesome. But thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.